All right, and we got here get going here. 300. They're all 300.
Let's start it up.
So little 4 strokes. Okay. All right, my name is Jordan. I'm with Ride Union. We're here today to talk about the Los Ancianos Tecate Enduro. We got Mateo, he's a club member, does a lot of the administrative work. I believe he does most of the social media stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And then we got Tommy, he's a 10-plus year former president, trail guru. He's the guy who makes sure we go over all the rocks. So we're going to try to talk about some of the basic problems that you guys approach for this race. Some of you guys have never been to this race before and want to go listen. It's going to be like a virtual riders meeting, or attempt to be. So anytime during the course of this thing, if you can think of a question that didn't get answered, type it in the comments section to help us out, and then we can address it in later videos. We've got 2 or 3 weeks still. So we're going to start by doing a little bit of a review on what and when the Tecate Enduro kind of got started, and let Tommy kind of give us a rundown of how we ended up with the current format that you have now.
Well, the old timekeeping enduros is kind of their heyday in the 80s. And then before that, it was the Tecate 500 2-dayers in the 70s. But yeah, as it morphed into the 2-day, or from the 2-day into the 250K enduro, and it was all timekeeping. And then we had some years there, we went into the air scrambles, and off and on. And then come around 2010, Paul Eddy, one of our team members and late member, he brought back the Enduro in 2010 in a format of basically like a AMA national Enduro in a sense, timekeeping wise. So then when it came around where I became president, we morphed into a basically 30-mile sections, 3 motos, and time you in, time you out, and that's where we're at today. And that's been going on for, gosh, since 2000. What did you say? 10?
Yeah, well, you came into presidency at 2012.
2012. So that would be, so 2010, then we did that sprint enduro in 2011. So that meant in 2012, we started the format that we're at now.
Perfect. My favorite format, by the way. I like to take breaks while I'm racing. You know, like I gotta get off, shake the legs out. They call me Calambre for a reason. So one of the other things that comes up in this deal is all the intricacies about racing in Mexico. If you're not familiar with that, one of the things that's particular about this race, other than the format of the 330-mile loops, is we got some remote pit sections. You know, I understand we're going to be a little bit different this year. Mm-hmm. So if one of you guys like to break down the pit situation, I know there's been some questions about that already.
Yeah, so in years past, we've had just 1 remote pit. And so this year, we're running 2 remote pits. And the most notable thing for folks that don't have a pit crew is that we're going to have separate gas trailers to go to each pit. So if you don't have a pit crew, your pit crew will be able to go to both locations. But if you're just putting your gas on the gas trailer, you're going to need 2 cans. So that's a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit tricky on logistics. So you're going to want to bring 2 of those cans, but there's always the possibility, most folks are coming with friends, that you share a can between folks, and you have 1 can between the 2 of you at each pit. Obviously, that's going to change with 2-stroke, 4-stroke, or you know how much fuel you plan on using. But that's just a good tidbit, because we are going to have 2 remote pits, but access will be there for your pit crew if they're coming.
And make sure too, like you got to consider the effort that goes in here. You're going to burn, you know, about 2 gallons of gas in 30 miles for most guys, approximately, give or take a half gallon, I would guess. So you don't need a whole 5-gallon jug to yourself. Hook up with a friend so they don't have to carry so much. And that way they're not wading through 200 gas cans to find it every time. You know, you can tie a bow on it. I have this bitchin' sticker sign art made with my face on it. That's how I find mine. Make sure you mark your cans and have it set up that way. Since we're on the topic of cans, if you're coming into Mexico for the first time, or if you're not familiar with it, your can has to be empty driving south through the border. They don't let you bring gas in a can. They want you to buy the gas from them. So make sure cans are empty, fill up in town, and then come out to the races.
They will turn you around at the border if you have full gas cans in your truck.
And you can't dump it out.
Yeah, you can't dump it out. This is a normal thing. It's nothing new. They do this forever. They're trying to make some extra money, so you got to pay them for their gas. That's what we want.
Stepping back quickly to having a pit crew, if your pit crew is pitting more than one person, you need to think about when the next person is coming in. If you have somebody coming in and starting on different minutes, you know, you have somebody riding in open and then somebody riding in senior or super senior, they're going to need to make that trek from the first to the second. So just think about that. And then even if you have a pit crew, you can always put your gas can on the trailer and just know that it's going to be there for you and not have to rely on the pit crew, because we will have some water, and definitely at pit 2 there'll be water and snacks for the riders, just in case. Or if you don't have a pit crew, we'll be able there to put water in your bags and give you a couple of snacks.
And what if any of you guys don't have a pit crew? One of the reasons we organize these types of things, doing the ride union thing and Baja Enduro Club and La Parada thing, is to build the community. They send us a message. We'll help you get a pit crew, help you get serviced up. Some of the guys offer services like that, and we can make that happen.
Yeah, Mag 7 may be there. We never give 100% because things come up, but Mag 7's been a great supporter of our race
Forever.
But even so, like Jordan was saying, it's a big community. You go to any of the guys that are there with tools out, they're going to help you. We're all there for you. It's all one team. If you need some tools or something, one of the other crews will be able to help you out.
Yeah. Remote pits are not unusual in enduro racing, so this is not that big of a surprise. The remote one's going to be pit 1. So pit 1, just count on having minimal stuff, share gas with the friends, and then move on to the next one so that you can be. And at the second test, we may as well get into where these things are at. The second test, I understand, is at the tractor tower.
It ends end test 2, start of 3 will be up at the tower.
Yeah, that's a normal pit area, so you guys all know where that's at. The first test, what is the name of that location where the first test is at? Isn't that the name of that place?
Well, I'm not sure. That's not my section, but typically, I don't know the name. It's probably out there somewhere.
Alex as well.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
they'll find it.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's on the dirt road from Santa Veronica to the 3. About halfway across the plain there's a Y in the thing and a bunch of oak trees. And there's some there's a red brick house that's all knocked down. I was told that's about where it's going to be at. So
Yeah, we have names that
We just don't. Yeah, it's just wherever it is.
okay. Pretty sure it's right about there. Oh,
Yeah.
Well, I call it,
You're warned.
but it'll be marked all the way there, and then you're going to have, you know, a fair drive coming from there to pit 2. So just be prepared for that.
Yeah, I wouldn't count on. You're not going to be able to hit the same rider at both pits if you're trying to do that. Don't try to do that. It's not worth your time.
And
You
it's
don't.
not safe.
Yeah, don't be going high speeds down the roads and all that kind of stuff. The last thing we want to deal with is somebody getting hurt on the pit on non-race course.
I can't emphasize that enough, what you just said, and you better be well aware of what we just said.
Yeah, and that's so yeah, important. You're not going to make both pits, so don't try. I don't care if you're in a razor or whatever. It's not worth your time. You're not going to catch the guy. So count on having either no services at the first one and go into the second pit, or have 2 crews. That's what you got.
And no cell service.
Yeah, no cell
That's not going to work either. Going back to coming across the border without a gas, or with no gas in your gas cans, for those who have not raced with us or are not super familiar with coming down to Baja, you want to have Mexican insurance for your vehicle, and you want to have registration for all the vehicles, your trailer, your bikes, your truck, current valid U.S. whatever state registration, because they will check. And if you don't have the registration with you, you know, most guys are coming across with a truck and a bike, or a trailer and a bike, but they may check the truck, the trailer, the bike, everything. and you want to make sure everything's up to date. And as you're coming across, I get that question quite a bit, and a lot of guys have, you know, the bill of lading, bill of sale, you know, whatever it is. So it's not going to work. You need valid registration.
Yeah. And if for some reason you forget or something like that, I didn't say this, but there's been a couple of times where I got turned back because I didn't have it, and they don't check guys riding bikes across the border often. So you can try twice.
And there's a store right there that has a DMV one day for that. I've never done it, but
Yep.
I heard.
There's a AAA on
But just have your act together and make sure you obey the laws and
Yeah.
from there.
About that time.
Yeah.
Speaking of, how about give cheers? We missed one.
Yeah, and thank you, Jordan, for putting this together. And Matt here is a great big asset to our club. We have a hard time doing it without him. He wears a lot of hats.
Yeah. You got something next on your list for the maybe the coming in?
Yeah, I mean, really, that's coming into Mexico. That's pretty much it. I just wanted to mention that if the earlier you get down to Hacienda Santa Veronica, the better, because camping is first come, first serve. There's a pretty good area, but it's a limited area. The test track, it looks like we just secured the area for the test track. It's been, you know, land ownership is always tricky, so we're still working on it, but I got a good text right before this that looks like we're looking good for a test track, because it's always tricky.
Yes.
But there is no formal riders meeting, so this is about as good as you're going to get, or you're going to ask questions directly to me or somewhere on our social media. Registration starts at 4, so on Friday. So 4 o'clock on Friday, you can sign up or get your numbers and get your packet, buy T-shirts, all that stuff, and let's see. Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of guys coming down for the first time, and it's really hard when you've done this 100 times, like several of us have, or these guys sitting on the other side of the table, to predict the problem that you have on your first try. So like the basic stuff that you shouldn't have to talk about, but probably needs to be said anyway. When you're coming down Compadre Road, that's the dirt road coming in there, you know, be mindful of the neighbors. You don't need to blow them out and doing 75 miles an hour like I normally do. And then, you know, always, whether you're riding the bike or in the trucks and everything, really be mindful for livestock and dogs. You don't need to hit anybody's horses or cattle or anything like that. It should go without saying, but slow down, especially if you see people riding horses and stuff, let them pass. They got right away. Your vehicle isn't going to get scared as theirs is. So that's taking care of the community down there. This is one of the last places we have within 1,000 miles to do 100-mile virgin single tracks. And it just doesn't happen. I've seen other people talk about other similar events that are just as good, but this thing's fantastic, and we got to keep it going. And the best way to do that is to take care of the community and try to minimize the impact that you have out there. Pick up your trash, all that stuff. One of my big pet peeves is, and I'm going to bring this up right now just because I thought of it, you weirdos that are running your generator all night. This year, I'm going to do it. I'm taking the authority. If your generator's running past midnight, I'm going to go out there and turn that goddamn thing off myself.
I'll be with you.
We got technology for that stuff this day. Pro tip, guys, buy one of those Jackery battery backpack things. Plug in an electric blanket. It doesn't matter whether it's 4 degrees outside. You're going to be plenty warm, and it's silent.
Go to REI and get it down back there. Do something.
Yeah.
Generators suck.
Generators, turn them off. We don't like that. I don't care what you got going on.
I think we should probably address there's 2 big changes this year. Obviously, the race is February 28th. Instead of early December, it's been the first week in December for a long time. So we changed it for a couple reasons. I know Tommy and I had a phone call last year after the race. It was around this time, and it was raining. We were all getting ready to go ride. He's like, see, if this race was happening, you know, late winter, early spring, we'd have a better chance of precipitation. So that's definitely one of the reasons for the date change. The other one is that it gives our club more time in cooler weather to cut the trails and prepare the trails. So I think that we're going to be able to give a better product, and hopefully you guys see that out on the trail. And I think that's going to be a beneficial change. We do have some wet weather in the forecast.
Yeah.
So really looking forward to that. Hoping that we get more rain, but I did see that in the next 10 days, we're going to get some precipitation.
If anybody has any complaints, they can complain to me.
Yeah.
I'm the one that pushed this thing through for 5 years. I've been talking about it, and finally the club.
Well, his voicemail's full, so the
But yeah,
complaints aren't going to go too far.
we'll see. We'll see how it goes, but it's shaping up to be a little more daylight hours, which is always good. We've always a safety issue with our sweet crew that's coming in at dark, you know, or after dark, and it's nice this year to look forward to everybody getting in well and within daylight hours, and that's a big one.
Yeah, we'll have a little bit more sunlight during the day, so that should be cool.
Yep.
There is one, you know, downfall for the club, and maybe to some of you who have participated in our toy drive. This usually happens right before Christmas, so the toy drive isn't necessarily happening the same as it did.
Right.
We still are accepting donations, you know, toys, food, monetary donations. That's always helpful. A lot of the money from registrations ends up going back to the community, but this year the club put up their own money. We spent a couple grand at Walmart and took toys out to the kids on our own because we didn't want that toy drive to go by the wayside. Also markings. Marking is going to be a little bit different this year. That's a big one. We put it out on social media. It's going to be in the rider instructions, and it is in the FAQs, but we're adopting more of the Caselli Foundation marking guidelines. And so the main difference is that dangers will be marked in blue. So our arrows and our pink ribbon is all the same, but now any danger will be a blue exclamation mark followed with blue ribbon. And then same as a national hare and hound or anything like that, you're going to have a 3, 2, 1. Our arrows are 3, 2, and then 1 at the corner for high speed, or 2 and 1. The corner is always at the 1, and then that's same with danger. If there's a really big danger, it'll be 3, 2, 1, or 2, 1, or just 1. But the 1 arrow or 1 danger is always at the corner or at the danger.
And downhills, you have to be really mindful of rock slab downhills, carrying your speed too fast, and we will have danger markings that way, but just be mindful of that. Just be careful, watch those markings. Yes.
I'm curious to hear some feedback if you're still listening to this thing. I always prefer the Los Ancianos orange arrows over all of the other arrows I've ever raced with. For some reason, I feel like I can see them better than anybody else's. I liked them so much, I copied them and made Ride Union ones. So let us know if that works for the same for you. To me, the arrow format's best. But I've done enough course marking now where I realize the more arrows you got, the better it is every time. And like theirs is the best. So I'm just curious if everybody else feels the same way.
So yeah, if you have any more questions, leave it down in the comments. We want to answer those questions. We want to get to you as soon as possible because there is no formal riders meeting. All questions need to be answered before you start the race. I did mention that signups are Friday at 4 p.m. And then we also have late signups. Already registered folks, sign-ins will be 6 a.m. in the restaurant, same as the day before. But before the race, we start at 7:01. But if you're coming in late Friday night or early Saturday morning, we will get you all set up. And then after the race, we started this last year, but if you trophied, you will be able to see in our results, and you can grab your trophies in the bar that night, so you can carry it around and show everybody that you're in the top.
Wear around like the
Yeah, flake.
Yeah, going back to that, we were touching on something there about the marking. Again, I wanted to say a little bit of something there, and I forgot what it was, but
Well,
I'll think about it.
the marking thing's fun. Every year there's the Los Antillanos, and correct me if I'm wrong here, guys, you have 3 different crews of guys marking, like typically. And you'll notice they got, at least each one's got a little bit of different flavor. I remember last year there was some issues where the guys that were going the fastest in the race, they were blowing every turn for the first few miles because the marking was a little shallow out on the inside of the turn, so they couldn't see it till the turn was already there. And then, other ones was done, I don't want to say better, but differently. So just be aware.
We try to be consistent, but it's, we're all volunteers. But going back to markings and this terrain, we've always felt that the terrain is the challenge. Not knowing where to go shouldn't be the challenge. So that's what we try to do with our arrowing and ribbons. So.
We're not marking it at race speed, so that's very, very important to know. But at the same time, we're trying to anticipate that speed. But at the same time, especially last year, and this has happened in years past, that if somebody blows a corner, the next guy may follow, and that's always compounded when there's dust.
Yeah.
So be a good rider. Don't follow the guy in front of you, follow the markings. And if you can't see, you need to be sure, because even the best guys, they're not riding at 100%, not even at the beginning, maybe to get through the whole shot, but it's like an 85% thing. You have to pace yourself throughout this whole thing, and you need to really pay attention to the markings and trust the markings.
Yeah.
So we're definitely, we're always getting better, but absolutely, if it's really dusty and you blow a corner, there's going to be 10 guys that are following you, and if you blow a corner, there may be somebody coming back on that corner. So be a good steward of the community and be aware of those.
I remember, I believe last year there was a handful of pro guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Anson and some other dudes they were just going so fast. I mean, it's pretty hard for us average humans to predict how far ahead they need the arrows, but it kind of ended up burning their race day because they blew the turns in the first pass. Mm-hmm. So you just got to watch that. And the reason I'm saying that is not because it's going to change. I think no matter how hard you try to do it better, and I think these guys do as good a job as you could possibly do at this, there's always going to be that thing. So this is your warning. Pay attention to the arrows and be ready for turns when you didn't expect them to be there.
Yeah, there may be arrows blown down. There's burn sections, of course. Those are always trickier to mark. And, we have a lot of different terrain and different styles of riding that you're going to pass through. So if it's tight and twisty, great single track, that's easy. Yeah. But you get through some of those burn sections, people are going to take different lines. So don't necessarily trust the line on the ground. You want to make sure that you're following the arrows and the ribbon the best you can.
Which you touched on something there with this. We got a lot of fires out in the area over the last couple of years, and there's a lot of hard wood, and we do our best, but just keep that in mind out there. It's a lot of hard stuff that wants to stick you. So ride smart. Just use your head.
We had a little benefit ride for a young man that got injured recently. Justin, we're still there for you. Last weekend it was in a burn area, and everybody had different names for it. It's like, I don't know why, but when it burns the manzanita, it's harder.
Yeah.
Like it feels like getting hit with a mini baseball bat all day long.
Yeah.
So
we spent a lot of time knocking it down with them. So yeah.
Now that the burn thing brings me to we had another race, a local race some time ago, and it was in a burned area. You can't cut the course just because it's burned. Okay, so like if you're on a course and way up ahead you see bikes going the other way, that's not an invitation to cut the course. So I don't know what more we got to say, but I know, like, I believe the score has a 50-foot rule. 50 foot ain't very far. Okay, so if you're cutting more than that or less than that, you shouldn't be cutting the courses. And if you're really trying to preserve the trails, unless you're trying to get an overall trophy and get some money, and even then stay on the course. But the reality is just stay on the course, because when you cut the course, even if you cut it 5 foot or 10 foot, you're ruining the trail for years to come. You're straightening out all our beautiful turny single track and making it into a highway. So let's try to keep on the course as best we can. There's a ton of burn section everywhere from Sarah Azul all the way out by Pete's Ranch, and I think half of the zone is burned this year.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one thing to make a pass, and it's a completely different to cut a corner, cut a course, whatever it is. So yeah, stay on the trails because you may end up in a dangerous section, something we didn't anticipate, or you're just a cutter.
Yeah, and it could be a situation too where you see a bike going the other way, you cut, and then you skipped a part of the course that has a checkpoint or something because they might double back on each other. So you just stay as close to the race course as you can. The trail is 3 foot wide. Stay there.
That's a good advice.
Something that we're bringing back that was really well received and kind of fun is the Ultimate Cabron Award.
Yes, my guy.
Yeah, so big thanks to Seve, DP Racing. He put up the $500 purse for that. That's always fun. Shiloh,
Yeah.
he won it last year.
Tijuana's guy.
And yeah, there was apparently a handful of guys that were like waiting in the bushes, thinking they were going to win. So that ain't going to do it for you. Just like Shiloh, he spent over 8 hours on the course. I want to say between the three. If you get caught by sweep, you're out. If you hour out, DNF. Obviously, it's not working out, but it's not something that you can sandbag.
No.
But it's really cool. We think it's really fun, and we're really appreciative of our sponsors to be able to offer that.
Man, my fitness level is good for 2 hours. You guys out there for 8, and stay strong, brother. I couldn't make it. You guys had to come out there with a wheelbarrow getting me out. All right, what else we got on the list? Anything else important you want to touch on?
Nothing super important, but I guess I was curious, maybe from your perspective, so we brought back the sportsman class last race. Do you think that that's helped eliminate any bottlenecks, or maybe push some people to only do 2, push them further to the back? Have you noticed anything?
Well, I've been racing the open class the last couple of years just because I don't want to deal with the traffic. It makes me cranky, and when I get cranky, I don't ride as well. So I just assume ride as close to the front as I can. And so I haven't experienced it, but I gotta believe if you've got 50 or 60 guys that would normally be in the open 30 and 40 classes, and you're moving them to the back of the grid, I gotta believe that helps the traffic zone.
Yeah, we're pushing 40 guys this year. I guess it's just a recommendation to anybody who has not raced our race, is curious about their fitness or skill level, or just, overall isn't sure where they land in any of the classes. I would say first time out, if you're coming, whether you're coming or not, maybe do sportsman first, and try that out. Sportsman only does first and second loop, and it is a trophyable class, but there are a fair amount of people. We've gotten a lot of traction with the sportsman class, so I would say don't sleep on that class, and then maybe work your way up, because we get a lot of guys that break their bike or run out of steam, gas out, in their bikes on that third loop. And they just weren't prepared for the fitness, the hydration, the skill level that goes into doing 3, because first loop is fairly simple. Second loop, it starts to get difficult. And third loop is even more difficult than both of those, So make sure your fitness level is there, your hydration and your fueling is there, and your bike prep, and sportsman's a good way to jump into that. But yeah, all those 3 factors, you just really make sure that your skill and your fueling is on par to do all 3.
I raced a couple of the AMA West Hair Scrambles last year, and they have a over 35 pro class, which I'm a big fan of, because it's like, you got the regular pro guys, and then there's a pro 250 and then pro 35. And so I raced that thing, and at Washougal, Redondi lapped me.
Yep.
And so all you guys out there that are like, oh, I'm in a race too, all I'm saying is I heard that bike coming, and I was off the course so fast I was afraid he's going to hit me. You can move out of the way. I still ended up second in class in the Pro 35, and I was reasonably close in the Pro 250 guys there. So it didn't hurt me to get out of the way whenever I got lapped. It ain't going to hurt you to get out of the way.
Yep, good point. And what you touched on something else there, as far as being on the race course. There's going to be, especially on third loop and second as well, there's going to be plenty of places and that you can get off the race course to exit the race if you need to.
Yeah.
If you have somebody there, observation check, just don't hesitate to ask, because you don't want to proceed if you're not capable.
Yeah. And that's a, like I said, I'm taking ownership of this, and I've been a lapper. I know how it goes. And the reality is, and we can all make jokes. They call me Calambre for a reason. I've pulled out of this race 2 times for cramps. Okay. So I know exactly what it's like to DNF. I can eat that one with you guys. Maybe just a suggestion, you guys are out there tired and you're having a rough day and you hear a bike coming, pull over when you hear them, way ahead of them, take yourself a break, regroup, and then take off when the trail's clear. It's not going to affect your position to take a break when you need to take a break. So if you time it right, maybe it benefits you in the future sections of the trails. I mean, you can watch use the hard enduro events just because those guys are constantly in the lap traffic, it seems like. But even the fastest pro guy will stop before an obstacle, take a deep breath, rest, and then send the obstacle sometimes. So if that's what you got to do to stay moving, try to do that to keep the bottleneck from happening as much as possible. Take a break whenever your legs are tired and I'm at the top of the hill, I'm smoked. Take a breather right there, and then pull out whenever you're not in traffic so it doesn't pile up everybody, because everybody here is trying to do the best they can do. And if you're able to maintain a certain, I like to call it heart rate, I like to ride around in the zone 2 thing where you're not really working, you're just kind of cruising. And I can do that longer than I can for, high speed, high intensity of workouts. So just try to ride within your framework and make it so that you are having your best day and the guys behind you are able to get past you and all that stuff.
Yep. Very well put there. You got to pace yourself. It's the long haul. They don't call it long and hard for nothing.
Yeah, I mean, you're pushing over 90 miles. Letting one guy pass you isn't going to make the big change. Maybe if you're one of the top guys towards the end of the race, I could understand everybody's, trying to push as hard as they can, but be a good steward and let those guys by, and it's just going to alleviate some of those issues. And you keep holding people up, it's just pay it forward, move off to the side, let those guys by. It's a long way. You get a breather, you're going to be able to catch back up for sure.
This race has a ton of people in it, and the interval is different, I think, from many of the others. I think like that Wickenburg National Enduro is probably the only other one I see where you're just constantly in traffic the whole time, just because of how many people are moving, and I think it's cool. And 90% of the people you pass, as soon as they hear you, you're ready, and they're getting out of the way, and everybody's having a good time. So
I will say from a safety perspective, that our road crossings, we have a couple road crossings in the first 2 tests. If you're out of water, you're dehydrated, cramping, whatever it is, our road crossing folks will have a med kit. They'll have some water if you need it. So take that break at those locations, because they're few and far between. The 3rd test, we don't have any road crossings. So you're kind of out there on your own. There will be some club members, I'm sure, lurking around, but by that point, you're probably in stride and hopefully have figured it out. And it's a lot more seasoned riders, but just know that those bailouts, if you need to take them, are at the road crossings especially. And if you do bail out because you know the area, you know your way back, which we don't recommend, but if you do bail out without a road crossing or our sweep crew, to check in when you get back at the race, because we want your number, we want to know who you are, your race number, and to make sure you got home safe, because we need to jot all that down. We need to make sure everybody came off the course by the end of the day.
And there's your sweep guys. Every year, one of our buddies is the sweep guy on a couple of tests, and I hear about the people that are upset about getting swept off. and I'm going to speak for them because this isn't me, but the reality is these guys are out there all day. They're out there for the 6-7 hour days to do all this work so you guys can go racing. And if you get caught by a sweep guy,
That's for a reason.
you're out of the race anyway. Your position's not going to change if you get caught and pull off versus you keep going. I mean, plus or minus 1 spot, 2 spots, you know what I mean? Like, it'd be pretty difficult unless you found a third wind and, you know, find a beer pit stop and you all of a sudden came back to life and you're Popeye. But the reality is you're probably where you're going to be. That sweeper, if you allow him to kick you off the trail and move on, he can keep on going. He's going to keep kicking people off and your position stays the same either way. Go back to the truck, come back next year with a little more in the tank and you're ready to go.
Yep.
We're there to help you. I mean, if a guy can stay ahead and he's just got a little bit of a mechanical issue, we can try to get him going. But if it's a physical issue, you've got to be realistic. Yeah.
Yeah, these guys, some of these, you know, I don't like pushing bikes. Like I'm banged up enough where I can't even push my own bike. I'll go do a hard enduro ride race, and if I can't ride it on the pegs, the bike ain't getting up that hill. like that's just what it is. The pushing bikes hurt. So like when you can't expect people to help you push your bike, you know, either. So if you're gonna try to get help, you better get it from another rider. And the sweet guys are not there for that. They're there to make sure you can get back to the truck. That's what they're there to do.
Right.
Yeah, maybe another tip for those who don't know already or maybe new to our race, that when you come in after a test, check to see where the beginning of the next test is. Check to see where they are on the minutes that they're pushing off, because you know you may come in and you just want to get a drink, gas up your bike, you know, fix something on your bike, but you may miss your start minute. So just be aware of where that is, what minute they're on, how long you have. Just kind of get a little view of the area. We have big flags that we made that say, you know, start at 2 or start at 3, whatever it is. Shout out to Sign Out Graphics for making us those. But you will be able to see where that is, and it's always a good check. Check your watch. All right, I got, you know, 20, 30, 40 minutes, whatever it is in between. And just be ready for hopping on that next line.
Yeah.
Be aware.
Well, you want to talk about the pro guys? Who's in here next?
Yeah,
Time. What's your phone got there? How long have we been going?
7:53.
We got about 15, 20 minutes still, probably.
Yeah. So I got the pro list here. So first line, let's talk about them. First line is going to be Arturo Salas, Gary Sutherland, Tucker Hopkins, and DJ Weber. Second line, we got Dale Fenton, Anson Maloney, Dustin McCarthy, Alvaro Ortiz. Third line, Ivan Ramirez coming back, Alex Trapp, Max Gersten, 2-time winner, 2 in a row. He's coming back to look for a third. And Ryan Wells. Fourth line, Sammy Montalban, Justin Morgan, Juan Reynoso, Gabriel Guardado, and right now the fifth line is just Josh Knight and Clay Hingeville. So this isn't fully filled out, but so far these are the guys that we got. So who's on your fantasy podium?
Gary's a homie of mine, so I gotta go with Gary. I'm putting Gary on the front row. Yeah, that's a pretty good pick, I think. Max is also a good buddy of mine. He's 2 of 3. I think, I don't want to say a top 3, so I'm going to go with any mix, the top 4. I'm going to say Gary, Max. Ryan Wells is fast. I don't really know Ryan at all, but he gets down. And Sammy. We cheered for Sammy to get a podium.
Yeah, I've been pretty pumped on Sammy's prep videos. He's putting up a lot of work. It looks like he's out there training hard. So yeah, definitely don't sleep on Sammy. He's looking for it.
And I think he got 4th last year, and like I said, a podium would be a big deal. So we're I think the gang community wants to see Sammy on the podium.
Good for him.
Yeah, and Ivan Ramirez. I mean, the people's champ. I know a lot of people come out to see him. Like the Mexicans love Ivan, and he knows the terrain. He knows the area. He's not he's not far into the podium for the Ancianos race, so he knows what he's getting into, and if he's been working hard, I wouldn't doubt that he'd be up there.
I think it was one of the best races any ever saw was our races, spectator-wise, is when we're out at Nahee and we watched Elon race. I don't know if you were in the club then, but he raced, I think, I don't know, I can't remember who it is, but they battled it out. So,
I think it's probably Gary.
I think it was Gary.
I think Gary and him were pretty close.
Did I have the year Gary aired into the wash?
I laid him coming off that thing. And some of the old guys looked at me and goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "This is going to be pretty interesting." That I couldn't believe how far they launched up into that, but that was pretty good. Yeah, pretty to watch.
Yeah, Gary's that move. We had walked to the start, I think the night before or something. And he's like, there was a couple of holes at the top that were kind of ugly. There's a rain rut that crossed it. And he looked at me straight faced as hell, and he said he was going to wheelie across it and air out of a 12-foot vertical drop into the creek bed. And I just kind of giggled, didn't think nothing about it. And I'm sitting on the start line waiting to take off, and I see his bike go airborne, and I was like, holy shit, he did it.
I saw the guys. Yeah, that was a fun year.
That was a pretty cool race for sure. There's a couple other guys on that list that are pretty, I think the guys we just mentioned, these are the legends. These guys show up and do it every year, and they're expected to do well. That's why they're on the top of that list. You got Dustin McCarthy. He's a top tier dude.
Absolutely.
And Anson's he could easily win the thing too. We're not talking like any one of these dudes has a better odds than the other one. If I had to, I don't even want to pick a thing because I got so many buddies on there. I feel like I'd be turning them all down, but. Man, there's some good.
No, and you got guys like Justin Morgan and Sandy Montalban on the fourth line. They're going to be hunting guys down. And
being fourth row is a good start. Let's hope for some wet dirt, and they're going to have a little bit more beat-in trail. They only got to gain a minute, each section. So I think those dudes have got a chance. A couple of guys that kind of catch my eye that these guys might not know much about is Dale Fenton and Alvaro Ortiz. These are younger dudes. I think, 10, 15 years from now when we're doing this again with way better equipment and a lot more gray hair, we're going to be talking about Dale and Alvaro out there killing it because those are young guys and they're going real fast right now. And
yeah, Dale's a hare and hound guy, and GNCC racing gas. I mean, yeah, these guys are definitely up and comers, and definitely I feel like we're gonna be seeing them up at the top pretty soon.
Yeah, and I heard that we got a Gabriel Guardado. I think a Mainway Mexico guy. I heard.
Yeah, so he's raced with Iwan, ISDE, and been on the Mexican Trophy team for 15 years. I think he may be a little bit older now, but he's somebody who's been racing with Ivan for a long time, and I think it's a new name to us. I don't know that he's been in our race yet, but looking forward to seeing him.
There's a handful of guys on this thing, and if we leave you out, it's not because we don't know, not because you're not as fast as the other ones. It's because you haven't bought me beer next to the campfire yet. Next year, you know the story. But yeah, we got those dudes, and we got to give it to our buddy Juan Reynoso. Dude's 44 years old. He's still out there running top 15 overall. And I think a lot of guys, they see him sitting on the start line and they're not counting on that, and then they get beat at the end of the day. So
I'm one of those guys. You're talking about getting lapped. I just at the tractor race, Max Yee and Juan both lapped me right at the end.
Yeah.
And I was hoping not to get lapped by the pros, and sure enough, here they come.
So what about let's talk about the women.
Oh yeah.
What are we at?
Well, there's
we touched on this a little bit on a Facebook group, but I had floated this concept that I wasn't sure if any gals had ridden all 3 loops, and I immediately knew that my buddy Nancy had done that, and I probably should have verified that before I sent that out. But she's as tough as they make them, and I'll go ride with Nancy any day of the week, and she's going to get there every time. I think she's coming out. There's 3 or 4 gals signed up in non-women's classes, which I think is a great strategy.
Yeah.
If you're trying to hit all 3 tests and be the what would you call the what's the award for the longest guy out there, the longest ultimate yeah, if you're gonna be the ultimate hair, you might want to start from it earlier in the group. It'll keep you a little bit. You got a little buffer zone. The riders are gonna be moving a little better, and I think there's 3 or 4 gals signed up in there.
So yeah, we have 7 girls in the women's class, but there's also 3 that I can see real quick just by looking at the names that are in different class. So Brea, no surprise, she signed up under vet, and then Anna Cody, she's in open, and then a name that I'm not familiar with yet, but I think you may have known her, Jen Swisher.
I don't know.
Don't know. She's in senior. So the girls are getting out there. You know, we definitely had finishers for all 3 loops. But right now we have 7 in the women's all ages class.
And from hanging out with my best friend Natalie all these years, I think 10 girls in a enduro. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, that's a pretty neat thing that you guys are showing up and doing that. And I'm glad that you guys are out there. And I hope you guys beat a whole lot of guys that wouldn't think you could.
Yep.
So like that makes me feel better when that happens. My friend Jackie, she's the ultimate sandbagger. We've talked about that. She talks about how she ain't going fast, and there she is at the end every time. So there's a few of them out there. A couple of guys in the vet classes and stuff that are always on top of it. I don't know. Did Carlos get in the sign up? I haven't talked to him.
In vet?
Carlos Casas.
Last year, I say that I saw his name.
He went top 15-ish last year from the vet line, which I think is impressive. Just because, like I said, I get a little stressed out trying to pass the guys in front of me, and to pass that many guys and get that far up is pretty incredible. Him and Clint Bodenholt also getting down from the 40 line last year. I'm pretty sure Clint's going to come
I
out.
think he's gonna go open this year.
Yeah, a lot of them are trying to dodge that traffic. You know, like I think people don't realize how much. For some guys seem to get through it. Like Carlos, he got through it pretty good. Juan's always got through it pretty good.
Yep.
I think if it doesn't stress you out to get through it, you're fine. You're not losing as much time as you think you are most of the time, unless there's a bottleneck, obviously. But when you got these guys that are, you know, if you're getting them inside the top 20 overall, every second counts at that point. So to try to get, you know, if your goal is to get up into that zone and you need that extra second, then starting earlier helps.
Yep.
And the oldest guy, I just noticed my friend Jimmy Soames is in there.
Jimmy's in there.
He's gotta be the oldest rider. He's 72, I think.
Beecham signed up? Is he older?
Or Jimmy Soames is older than Jimmy.
Okay.
I believe. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of names on this list that everybody knows. You know, Larry's coming back. Jaime's on there. You got Manuel de la Torre. You know, he's always an Antista. I mean, Francisco Montalban. Our 60 plus class is surprising.
The Italians coming.
Yeah.
Then one of our biggest classes is super senior aside from open.
Yeah.
So the 50 to 59 guys, they show up in force.
I'm
It's,
calling Kelly Galhouse for that one.
yeah, no, and for sure Kelly's coming, you know, and he's a force to be reckoned with. Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Well, I guess all we have to do is get there.
Yeah. Got a few more weeks. I hope you guys are doing your exercises and doing your 12-ounce curls, everything you can to be prepared and ready to do the work. And like I said, if you have any more questions, comments, or concerns, I'd like to get them in the comments. We'll try to work it out. Somebody will get an answer, even if it's a bad one. And hopefully see you guys down in Tecate in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, hydrate, get ready. Ricky Johnson's our Grand Marshal this year. He's a winner of the Los Ancianos Tecate. It was a Grand Prix at that time, back in the 80s. But come say hi to Ricky. He's going to be there at the start line, and I'm sure you'll see him at the finish. So looking forward to a good one.
Yeah, Ricky's about the coolest dude too. So hopefully you can catch him and hang out a bit and do all that.
Just respect Mexico.
Yeah, respect Mexico. Enjoy being out there. If you can, every time you see one of these guys out there with the Los Ancianos logo on, give them a high five, shake their hand, and tell them thank you. This is a spiritual movement, a religious experience for many of us that we block out this date, no matter what date they choose, we're going to be there. And it helps them to know the amount of respect and gratitude that we have for them. So when you see them out on the trail or out in the parking lot or whatever, make sure their beer's full and their hands are full of high fives and all that stuff. So
Yeah, thank you, Jordan.
Yeah.
Really bring a lot of things to light and getting in the new age of social media, which a lot of us older guys don't do, and appreciate that. But we have one request.
Yeah.
Have one of your Mexican friends teach you how to pronounce the name, Ancianos.
They don't know, and they can fun of the way I say Tecate.
I love it.
I'm from Oklahoma, man. I don't think we get to learn new words.
Yeah, everybody calls it the Tecate Enduro, you know, it's become a staple.
Well, I guess we're onward.
All right.
Yep.
See you at the races.
See you in Baja.